In this video, we are going to explore the inventory levels of homes in the Portland-Vancouver area. Which segments of the market have reasonable inventory and which sections of the market do not. So stay tuned and we're going to get after it right now. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Joseph Nelson and this is my YouTube channel, Moving to and Living in Portland and Vancouver. I've lived in the area for all my life. I share everything you need to know about moving to and living in the Portland-Vancouver area. Lifestyles, living, playing, working, schools, geography, and communities. I cover all these. What I love and what I hate. I will be brutally honest, and I will not candy coat anything that bothers me or needs to be said. Before you get distracted by the amazing content that follows, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time I make a new video, and I do this weekly. There are so many scenarios to consider when moving to the area, and you won't think of all of them, but I believe I will. Going from watching my videos to drilling down on your specific needs requires you to make the initial call, text, or email to start the conversation. You will find all of my contact information below. Press the Show More button below any video. Contact me and I will strip away much of the worry and anxiety of moving to a new city. And lastly, just know that I have your back when moving to the Portland or Vancouver greater area. We are going to find it, see it, and own it without buyer's remorse. Okay, here we go! Our inventory level of homes in the Portland area is at historical low. Both Portland and Vancouver as a whole, these areas have less than 1 month of inventory. This means that if we took no new listings, the entire inventory would be depleted in less than 1 month. Now that's not going to happen, but that's how we gauge inventory. So let's take a look at a few of the areas where inventory is really not suffering as it is in the general median home price of $450,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Number one area we're going to cover is floating homes. By the way, see my 4-part series on floating homes. This will bring you a lot of clarity into that market. I would consider the floating home market to still be a buyer's market. Inventory is fairly high, market time is long, and so you have a really great chance as a buyer of a floating home to be in the driver's seat. Floating homes are a low-cost alternative to waterfront living. Most of the waterfront homes on land are at the $2 million mark on up. But floating homes offer amazing access to your lifestyle if this in fact is your lifestyle. If, like me, you like waking up to the changing weather, the changing views, the wildlife, and being able to slip a kayak off of my deck and go kayaking, or jump in my sailboat and go sailing, or jump in my fishing boat and go fishing. For many, this is the perfect lifestyle. Floating homes have generally a common problem of not having a lot of storage. But many of the floating home communities come with a garage, or we have the ability to rent a garage nearby. So let's talk about the financial realities of floating homes. The floating home cost per square foot is generally lower than a home on land. There is only conventional financing for floating homes, and this requires a 20% down payment. So if we are looking at a $350,000 floating home, which is a fairly nice one, you'll need a $70,000 down payment and another $10,000 or so for closing costs. So all in, you are going to need about 80 grand to get into a floating home. All floating homes have an HOA, some of them fairly low, some of them fairly high. Just depends on whether you own your slip or not. The range runs from about $300 to $1,200 a month. Now I always recommend buying a floating home in a community where you own your own slip, because your ongoing costs of living is going to remain low throughout the time you stay there. The next area I'd like to speak about, which has good inventory, is downtown Portland in the Pearl and in southwest downtown Portland. These are generally fairly high-rise condos, but there are some more like townhomes on the waterfront. But as a rule, this is going to be living in a building with an elevator to get you to your floor. You know, over the last year, the market has really gotten soft on downtown condos. The pandemic has not helped. The proximity, being near to the protests, and I'm going to even say at times riots in downtown Portland, has made it more difficult to sell a condo in downtown Portland. There is a huge amount of inventory currently available. Prices are down 20% or so of where they were a year ago. Aside from the fear of many to buy a condo in the climate that exists downtown right now, I believe there is a huge upside potential for equity in these condos, buying them well below their market value, which existed 1 year ago. These condos offer the ultimate in walkability. Many people down here don't even own a car. There's a trolley, there's mass transit, there's bikes on the street that are just there for people to use, and there's every kind of shopping imaginable within walking distance. While interest rates are low, this may be a great time to enter this market. The median unit cost in downtown Portland is about $575,000. We start at about $350,000, and they go up to, depending on what's on the market, sometimes $5, $6, $12 million for a penthouse. You can get first-time homebuyer loans on these condos. These are subsidized interest rates or subsidized closing costs. One of the biggest downsides of condo living are the HOA fees. These HOA fees average $500 a month in the Pearl in downtown Portland, but they can go up to well over $1,000 a month. And this cost never goes away. But the inventory level is very good, and your experience of buying a condo right now in downtown Portland should prove to be seamless. The next area I wanted to talk about that has good inventory is new construction. I have a video coming up, maybe the very next one, specifically on new construction in the Portland and Vancouver areas. Inventory is not high, but it is reasonable. If you go look at a home and it's already sold, you can always get in line to have one built. There are very few new construction homes that are complete and available for immediate purchase. Most of these you're going to have to get into contract and have them built. And this could take 3 to 9 months. But the good news is you get to choose many of the finishes and features that you otherwise would not have the ability to do. Prices range from about $350,000 in some smaller communities in the Portland area to the sky's the limit. There's good financing available on new construction at market rates. Some of these loans can be through the builder or through an outside mortgage lender. And I recommend comparing what the builder offers compared to what we could get from a mortgage broker. New construction property taxes are assessed at 100% of the market value, which is what you pay for it. That's the baseline for the assessment of the property. So your property taxes are going to be relatively high compared to a slightly older home. The tax rate in most of the areas is about 1% of the value per year. Most of the new construction communities have HOA fees, but these tend to be very reasonable, $50 a month, $600 a year, depending on how they are requested to be paid. In talking to one of my mortgage brokers about the projection of interest rates, we feel that the interest rates will remain fairly stable for the next 18 to 24 months. They may go up slightly. We doubt they will go down. We're pretty much at the ground level for interest rates right now. But my point being, if you go into contract on a new construction home and it takes 9 months for it to be finished, getting a lock 9 months out is cost prohibitive. We're better off to roll the dice on what the interest rate is going to be when the home is finished. And that risk at this point seems to be a low risk. We believe the interest rates are going to remain stable throughout the construction period of your home. So there is decent inventory in new construction. The next area that has decent inventory levels that are workable are luxury homes. These are homes 700,000 on up. The higher the cost, typically, the better the inventory. So if you are looking for what we consider to be a luxury home, $1 million on up, and that fits what you'll be looking for when moving to Portland or Vancouver, that process should prove to be relaxed. This could also be an awesome time to upgrade your existing home if you're in the area to a luxury home because of the interest rates that exist right now. Selling your existing home in most markets throughout the United States should prove to be easier than buying a home in the Portland-Vancouver area. And I always suggest in this current market to position yourself to make an offer and get into contract before you sell your old home. Because there's nothing worse than selling your old home and having to scurry to find a new one. In this market, that makes no sense. I have 10 strategies to make a non-contingent offer on your new home before selling your old one. And at the current interest rates, these strategies are very affordable. So these are the 4 areas that I see right now that have workable inventory. This doesn't mean that it's impossible to get into contract in any home in the Portland-Vancouver area, but it's going to require having your ducks in a row. It's not so long ago that realtors were looked down on by buyers when the first thing they asked was, "Are you pre-approved?" And people would immediately say, "This guy is just lazy." In today's market, it is essential that we have a pre-approval letter in hand, and ideally one that has already been through underwriting so that the borrower is completely approved and the only thing that's not approved is the home they're buying. This is going to make you stand out in a multiple offer situation. And making a non-contingent offer, in other words, no contingency for having to sell your existing home, is the best kind of offer to make. Now, there are always contingencies, the biggest one being the home inspection contingency. And I do not recommend waiving a home inspection. That would certainly make your offer stand out because it shortens the time frame to close a transaction. But if you're getting financing, you're almost certainly going to need a home inspection. Now, there are situations with investors and so on that are pretty savvy that are able to make judgments by just walking through a home. But considering this is potentially going to be the largest investment you ever make, I don't recommend making an offer without having the inspection contingency in place. And this enables you to leave the transaction even after you've deposited earnest money for any reason you desire without actually having to give a reason, as long as you're inside the bounds of the home inspection period. And you don't even have to have an inspection made in order to release that property from contract. So will you guys do me a favor? The last one to move out of California, will you please turn out the lights? Thank you. Hey, I hope you found value in this video. I love input. And if there is a subject or community that you would like to see featured, make a comment in the comment section. And while you're there, give me a thumbs up or down. I love knowing that I'm making content that is of interest to my subscribers. And remember, I will always share the pros and cons. I get a ton of calls, texts, emails from people looking to relocate or move to the area. And that's what it takes for me to personalize your experience towards your lifestyle, as everyone has their unique story, needs, desires, and season in life. All of my contact information is in the Show More section below each video. And until the next video, I'll catch you later.